Hello, and thank you for joining us on this episode of Roadside Oddities. Today we have made it out to the Guadalupe Mountains National Park. If you're not real familiar with this national park, it's located in West Texas, pretty much runs into the border of New Mexico, and then I believe it goes into New Mexico. So, other national park to it is Carlsbad Cavern. And really the nearest town is Carlsbad, New Mexico, which is about 55 miles away. The actual camp site for the Guadalupe Mountains is pretty primitive. It's several different campsites kind of spread out through the little camping area there. So most people, though, come to hike the highest peak in Texas, and so that is going to be the Guadalupe Peak, and so that's what we did on this visit. So we slept the night in a camp there in the primitive campground, and then woke up. We were on the trail about 5 o'clock, and so a lot of this video is going to be mostly coming down, just because for about the first hour and a half, 2 hours of the hike, it was dark and not a lot to see. The headlight I had on, the headlamp, did fairly well when it came to lighting up the path. It's always interesting, though, when you're coming down, because you can't see anything going up as far as beyond your walking distance, and so it's like, oh wow, this is what I missed coming down. So it was about 70 degrees this morning. They do recommend that when you start hiking this trail that you head out early. It is 8.1 to 8.4 miles round trip, and significant elevation gain going up to the highest point in Texas at Guadalupe Peak. Now, I was the first one on the trail this morning. When I headed out, there wasn't anybody in front of me. That didn't last long, though, as far as people passing me. There was a lot of people that were in a lot better shape, who were moving a lot faster through the rocks. And it's always humbling, but you're out there for the experience. So the round trip took about 9 hours or so, and as you can tell, it's mostly rocky. Now the path is really established, obviously. As you can tell, there's dirt, but it's just rocks the entire way, and so the views are incredible. The scenery, it's fresh air. It's pretty quiet up there, but as you can just tell, walking along the path, it's just rocks everywhere, and so you got to be really prepared for it. I'm not sure exactly I was. This is kind of your first look at Guadalupe Peak when you this is about 2 hours in, and it's also, you come across a bridge here, which obviously is man-made, and I believe that was the only man-made structure on it, but I've got a view here that shows just how steep it was, looking down over the cliff down into kind of this valley. And then you also, if you see over there, you might be able to see some of the switchbacks that will lead you to the backside there of Guadalupe Peak to start getting you to the top. There's kind of a look down there. So I would say total probably on this, there's probably about 20 people or so throughout the entire day. Like I said, it took me quite a while to get up there and also to come back down. And everybody was really friendly. I think everybody kind of realizes they're in for a challenge to get to the highest point. I'm not sure if you think you're in Texas, it's going to be mostly flat, and instead you've got to this grinder. So, and I'm sure some people will probably disagree. They'll think that that have a little bit more experience, that it wasn't all that bad. But if you're a beginner at this or just a couple months in, this is definitely a test. I mean, it's doable, but as you can see, it's just rocks and elevation and switchbacks through the entire, pretty much the entire way. So here we are, just trying to navigate through some of these rocks on the trail. And like I said, the climb up don't have as much footage just because the sun and the darkness and everything like that. So, and here we are doing more switchbacks. I also forgot to mention too, kind of around the bridge, I had some technical difficulties, so I had to switch cameras. If it looks a little different, that's why. Or hopefully we got everything here in place with our trail. So I definitely learned a couple lessons on this one when it came to filming, hiking on the trail, making sure your battery's filled up, making sure you got plenty of storage, just all the little small things that make a huge difference when you're kind of out there in the middle of nowhere after a couple hours on the trail. Also had about a gallon of water with me, probably a little bit more. Did go through it all. So I would say the majority of the other hikers that we saw on this trail were pretty much prepared. There were a few people that didn't quite have the same gear or the proper gear, or water amounts, but I guess to each their own. If it just requires different, resources, I guess, based on your body type and physical activity level. So, anyway, so yeah, you kind of just keep going up through this valley. Okay, and we're continuing to climb. This is one of the many switchbacks that are out there. And we're actually getting kind of close to the top at this point. And there's just some more of the views. It's also kind of hard to know exactly where you're at on this trail too. Just because you are in between mountains and the elevation. And so, a lot of the false summits and those type of things. And as you can tell from the video, I like to take a look at the scenery. Yeah, that's just really me pausing the huffing and puffing, just because, it's strenuous activity. So nothing like taking in a view or two every couple feet if you have to. And that's exactly what I was doing. And it's a really maintained trail. I don't want to sound like I'm negative on it, but you just gotta be ready. You gotta have the knees, and you gotta be ready for the rocks. There's some more of the mountains, just taking some air in, getting a deep breath here. Now, the Guadalupe National Park, Guadalupe Mountains National Park, basically, it's pretty much a hiking park. There's, I think it's like 7 or 8 of the highest points in Texas. Highest mountains are in the Guadalupe Mountains. And that's really about it. It's not like there's a lot of bike trails or anything. There's only a couple miles of pavement. And then you do have the highway that runs outside of the park. It actually goes through the park a little bit. Now, the nice thing was the higher and higher you got up in the elevation, you couldn't really hear much of the traffic, even though it's kind of interesting because it is such a remote location. And, you do have to make sure you've got food, you got water, and fuel. There's not just a lot of places, but it's outside of the Permian Basin. And so there's a lot of oil drilling industry going on. near the park, and so you see a lot of the drillers and those type of things. And so there's more traffic out there than I think you would think for being in such a remote location. But the nice thing was, once you got higher and higher up here, like I said, starts getting really quiet. So, and the other thing too, the trail, I mean, not being that congested, is it's nice. And this right here is kind of the final push to the top. As you can see, it's you're up there a ways, and it's pretty. There's a lot of rocks, and this last half mile is probably the toughest point on the trail. One, because you're just so tired to begin with, and then once you start actually climbing, the rocks are pretty steep. Not a lot of places to grip, so it definitely makes a challenge to the very end. But it is rewarding once you start. You can, before you actually get to the top, you can kind of see the triangle monument that is up there, and that kind of gives you a little bit more motivation to keep going if you're just a few minutes away. So you'll definitely notice I do a lot of pausing up in this area, just because you're exhausted. And there it is. That's kind of your first look at the triangle marker. And so you kind of just got to do another scatter up to the top. But after this point, after climbing all those rocks, that's probably the easiest rocks you'll climb, just because the motivation is there to reach it. And then, like I said, once you get up here, the views are pretty incredible, and you can really see forever. It's very quiet, and it's pretty peaceful up there too. Just pretty views up there. Like I said, very peaceful, quiet, kind of windy. Temperature was a little chillier up there too, but it wasn't anything, concerning. I have seen some of the reports that, it can be a big temperature change. I know that was one of the warnings on it going up there. So, and they are accurate. I mean, it is a strenuous hike. You've got to be ready to hike. I believe it took me about 9 hours. I'm sure some people that passed me probably were making it closer to 4 to 5. So what comes up must come down, and so this is kind of you're starting the descent back down, and it's easier, I guess. You can definitely say it's a lot easier, but it's not easy. There's still a lot of rocks you got to step over, and it just takes a while to do. Like I said, the neat thing though is once we get a little lower down the trail, you get to see kind of the stuff that you didn't get to see when it was dark, and realized, you went up a lot of switchbacks to get up there a little ways. And there's a lot of pretty views when you're coming down. Just as when you're going up, it's just a little more easier to enjoy them when you're coming down. As far as any animals on the trail, there was a snake, looked non-poisonous, and sunning on a rock, and a lizard or two, maybe a squirrel or two, but that was about it. Nothing major. And this is more of the scenery as we're dropping down. I'd probably say at this point we're probably at hour 6, and definitely feeling it at this point. But also feeling a sense of accomplishment as well too. And this was kind of one of the last mountain valleys you get to look at as you're headed down. Again, I didn't really see a lot of this headed up, so that was kind of a nice little surprise, was to finally see exactly what we had been climbing up in the dark. And to get down to the base, to where the trailhead is and the parking lot and everything like that, it's a series of switchbacks down low. And coming up, you'll be able to see a view, which is pretty neat, of what when you kind of make the corner, you get to kind of see what the valley looks like. Right here, definitely pretty rocky again. That's why you can see going pretty slow. This was a neat little area in here though. A little bit of an incline going down, but nothing extraordinary. Like I mentioned earlier, the trail is pretty maintained throughout the entire way. It's just very rocky. Got to make sure you got proper shoes on. I would definitely recommend poles. I don't know how kid-friendly this trail would be either. I don't think I saw any kids with their parents. It was just all mostly adults that were making the climb. And you do got to plan on several hours for it. Even if you're experienced, you're probably still looking at 4 to 5 hours going up and down the mountain. If you're not, you're probably looking at closer to 8 to 10. But it's well worth it on that day. And this is kind of the first look down there, like I mentioned earlier, of there's the kind of where the entrance is and the visitor center's down there and the parking facilities and everything. And that's eventually where you're headed at. You just got to go down these series of switchbacks. But at this point, I would say if you're probably advanced, you're probably 30 minutes out. If you're slower, I think it took me about an hour. That's probably about the hour mark to get back. So it really does not get flat until you're at the very bottom, which will show you just a little bit of what it looks like. So, but overall, definitely an accomplishment to hike this trail. It was a little bit more than I thought it was going to be, but the top of it definitely worth it. The in between worth it, and don't know if I would ever hike this one again. This might be just a one and done type deal, just because of the commitment, the time commitment it takes to get up there and get back. At this point, though, there are a lot of other trails in the park, and it's kind of neat when you're hiking this trail because you can see some of the other trails going up the other mountains, the other peaks. But this was the only one we did in Guadalupe just because I was pretty exhausted after this one, and was only there one night, so you can make the reservations through the website there. Kind of the finale here. You're like, oh, it's so close, but yet you've still got a little ways to go. And then this is towards the very end as you're walking in. to the trailhead, which honestly, that's about the flattest part and least rockiest, to say the least. So overall, appreciate it. Any feedback's always appreciated on the videos. Anything else you'd like to see or hear, let us know. And yeah, glad you could join us for this episode. And I'm not sure how many more hiking videos we do. We may have a couple more lined up. Got some more national stops lined up after this, but appreciate you viewing it, and let us know if you have any questions or comments. Thanks.